This conference will now be recorded.
All right, cool. Well, so how is everyone?
Everybody needs to get quiet.
Yeah, I'm really good at awkward silence.
What's the topic for the day?
Well, I
I want
had
to
a
know what.
couple, but I got booed, so I'm not going to mention them.
No, you can mention them. I just thought they were not as lively.
I didn't see them, so
I was I was
let's
the one
hear it.
that booed them.
There you
It
go.
was spare parts,
That's a
considerations
good
that
one.
this is business critical, and what else did you have?
Well, well, the first part was somebody that's running a business that has multiple lasers and they're running from 7 to 7, and they're putting out production. They need different spare parts and a different way to look at it than a hobbyist or somebody that just does it on the evenings and weekends. And if they're down for a day or two, not a huge deal. And so I was just going to discuss a couple of scenarios and why those are different, and how you need to bolster your parts if you are mission critical and have to have your machines running, or it eats directly into your ROI. But
So let's play that game,
Yeah, that's
Brian,
a good
because
one.
you actually bring up a topic that I the so we have two lasers, two different tubes. If I purchase spare tubes, how long are they good for? Is there a shelf life on them?
there is, what that is a rabbit hole. I've had some 40-watt tubes that are 5 or 6 years old and they still output 30 something watts. Um, so there is a shelf life. The thing about tubes is now we're going to have them, and we have a third party in California that stocks. It's a certified reseller for RISI and uh, SPT, and they rotate stock because they sell tons and tons of tubes every day. So they always have fresh stuff. Um, if you were at 2 years and you're being, you're it doesn't fluoresce that pinkish purple. If it's starting to look a little hotter, a little whiter, if you think you're going to replace it in 6 months, then it may not be bad to go ahead and get it and have it sitting there. You know what I mean? But I
No.
wouldn't buy one and expect for it to sit there for 2 years until you go to replace the next one.
Okay,
So
no, that's the question that I had. I know servo motors don't go bad, lenses don't go bad, mirrors don't go bad, belts, all of
shelf
that.
shelf life, they don't go bad.
right.
Right.
Well, I also wanted to touch on mean
Well,
time between failure, because there can be shelf lives on that other stuff. But when we were talking, the one reason I wanted to differentiate between maybe the hobbyists, they won't have a motor sitting on their shelf, or maybe they will. It depends on how you. It depends on the person. But me being a hobbyist, of course, I've got all the parts for all the machines sitting behind me, so it's easy to say. Uh, I wouldn't have a motor. I wouldn't. I would have a set of bearings. I would have. I don't even know if I'd have belts. I'd have a couple of those loop belts. I'd have a power supply, a laser power supply. Um, what else goes out? I mean, the
Limit
bearings
switch.
almost never go out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Limit switches, stuff like that. Uh,
but I mean,
That
the
one's still
belt's so
active at the
cheap to
employee.
have, right? So
it
you spend
is.
20, $30, whatever, you keep a little bit of spare belt on. Really, for your X belt, probably the most likely to have an issue. But you know, having that spare on hand. But one comment about the motors, there's an effect called the Brenneling effect, typically only seen on larger motors, but they'll basically set a schedule to rotate the shaft so that the bearings are always moving in the race. Probably not as big an issue on small motors, but that is something that has to be considered. So something that sits for 5 years could potentially have bad bearings.
Yeah, we ran into that in one of my other units. Parts sat on the shelf for decades, and then parts started breaking. They sent out the parts, and they still didn't work.
Yep. Or you replace it and 6 months down the road that same motor fails and you're just like, well, what happened? So
Yeah.
but yeah, spares, Amazon Prime, if y'all have Amazon Prime, I think everybody's noticed it's no longer Prime. Like things
Not like
take a
it was.
week. No. And like it's weird because things will say, oh yeah, it'll be there in a day, and then other things are like, no, it'll be there in a week, 2 weeks for Prime. It's like, what happened?
But what you
Um
do is when you order those things and you're not in a rush, you go ahead and select the option, I'm not in a rush, and they'll give you digital credit
Yep.
towards renting a movie or digital book or whatever. I've got like $12 saved up because some of the things, if you order it, the dog supplements in advance, it's not a big deal. Now I understand for parts, we need them in 2 days, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Depending on where you're at in
And
the
I guess,
country, if you got the depot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the things we see a lot of frustration if, let's say, somebody has two machines and they're running them full time and, making parts, and one of the power supplies goes out. We can get one to you in 1 to 3 days, but that's not good enough because you're down for 1 to 3 days. In that instance, it totally makes sense to be prepared and have a power supply. If you're going to be that antsy about having to have it, that's when you start needing to have spares, if that's a concern
And
at all.
But
and
if you
for
do your
under three
project
hundred
management,
dollars.
sorry, CeeLo.
No, I was saying for under $300, typically closer to two, you can have that on the shelf and it's not going to go bad.
But if you do your project management correctly, you should have a couple of day window in there
That too.
pre-planning
Well,
a failure.
Now stop.
yeah. And even if you have multiple machines or a single machine, when you consider your loading, right? So you got a number of hours a day that you can physically run it or that it can physically run. If you're selling 100% of your hours or 130, just like these airlines booking planes, that's a bad spot to be in. You're kind of working yourself in the corner of, oh, I've got $10,000 backlog. I can't afford to be down. Well, at that point, you've actually exceeded your capacity. You should have a second machine and run both at, say, 50%. And if both of those get to 80%, it's time to start thinking about a third machine. If your business can sustain it, running at 100% capacity is dangerous
Right?
for
Travis, how
anything.
many do you have?
Hmm?
How many machines does Travis have?
5.
Do you have spare parts?
Oh yeah. I live in
Well,
Alaska. We have to have spare parts.
Because it takes
Well,
2 weeks to get there.
the
and
homing
then
pigeon takes a while. Yeah.
in his case, if he had 5 machines and he was 80% loaded on all of them, that still leaves him a machine free of capacity. So when one goes down, the other 4 can pick it up, load level
Yep.
it. Um, and from a business standpoint, that makes more sense. I know it's hard, if you're just starting out, hobbyist, getting your shop off the ground, but once you get established, it's time to start making those big decisions of
Yeah.
multiple
And
machines.
looking at it, that is important. We've even had people that don't, had their machine and unboxed it, and their first thing is, I need this thing running because I already have $5,000 worth of orders. What are
Right.
you doing? What are you doing? Well, I had an OM Tech before. Well, that's totally different. OM Tech has a totally different air system. There's so many things that are specific to Thunder that we have documented, but they are nuances, whether it's proprietary boards or systems or whatnot. So you can't always just jump from any Chinese laser and just automatically start running the Thunder. There's a few extra things. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
What's the quote
Also,
about
oh, go ahead.
somebody comes to you on a Friday needing something on Monday? Like your
An
need for
All
emergency,
the time.
an emergency, something for you doesn't
on your
warrant something
part,
for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. So we as makers and customers need to consider both sides of that. Like you're putting undue stress on somebody because you didn't plan out well. But on the flip side, sometimes you got to tell that guy no, like, yeah, I can't make it till Monday. It just won't happen. You know.
So cool. Well, I don't know if there's any. I don't know if it's Rich. Rich has been with us before. Do you recognize?
Yeah, I
Sometimes I
think
can't remember.
isn't he the
Yeah,
one that
he's
had
been.
the door work done to get
I
his
think so.
machine
Yeah.
in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if you guys have
I was
anything,
actually participating
yeah.
even before I had my lasers, but I missed a couple weeks there where I had some medical issues, so I'm back on.
Well, glad you're back. So if anybody has anything, just tell us to shut up and come on in here with whatever you got. Danny, good to see you too, man.
Who's the Mike fella? Mike.
He's having
And where's
issues
uh
with his
Yeah,
internet.
he was having a technical issue earlier with the video feed, so
where?
he may be laying low and just
There he
Okay,
is.
watching.
all
There
right,
he
I
is.
see you.
Yeah.
And what about where's our moderator?
Jim?
He'll be on. He's running a little late.
Okay.
So awesome.
I've got
Um,
supervision. That's all I have to deal with.
do we talk about the CLEARPATH thing?
And
I'm spelling like you're all 5-year-olds, but you know.
I would say not yet. It's preliminary.
Okay. I
Still
pulled a
working on that
grant.
article. Oh, there's more stuff we can talk about that Grant brought up this morning. I don't
By
think we
all
can talk about it.
means.
No? What did he bring up?
No?
Brian, I've got a question.
Hey man.
I've found a guy close by that has the same machine as I do, and we swap off things back and forth and bounce things back and forth. Is there any way that we can get a list of somebody around, or is this the wrong route to get it from? But is there a feeler that you could put out that if somebody wanted to know who's around them, you could give them their area code or whatever?
We have some of that plotted. Um, I envision and having a list of people, you know, that maybe we could populate on a map that want to be identified. You know what I mean? Uh, to meet up with other people, you know, in the area. It's not really solid yet. Not something that we can publish, but it's definitely
Yeah,
something that we're looking
I
at.
know that. I know that when I went down to Roanoke Rapids to see my machine, or the machine I was getting, that I was able to get help, and then I've got a guy close by within about 8 miles that ends up having the same machine, and we get along great. But we were just wondering if there's others around, or we would be available to try to help them as much as they help me. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Right.
It'd be good if
I
we
think
had some type of a check off. Do you want to be contacted by other laser users in your area for help, support, and or demos? That'd be something that we could
I may
probably
already
build.
have
Grant.
I may already have a registration form made that populates a spreadsheet with the address, and then I can make it automatically populate a map with the contact info or a link to contact or something. That's something I'll have to work. I've put all that stuff on the back burner because I'm still working on our ecom system that I'm almost 3 months late on. So nothing gets done until I get that ecom system online.
Well, Danny, are you in the global Facebook group? Oh, so a lot of people post up in there and find locals.
Yeah. I mean, that would even be what? Could you make a group for each large area, you know, like,
Oof.
or one for each
Oh,
state or something?
somebody just made one for Kentucky, but
Yeah.
she's at the far eastern side of the state from us. I went ahead and joined it, but we have people
And
come from, several states away to come check out our thunders too.
that's definitely on our radar, you know, and if we can publish people that want to be, you know, help or whatnot, we can look into that.
I'll check that out.
So what can we talk about?
Well, I kind of want to do some like Charlie Chaplin captions on Travis over here in his video.
Oh, don't even get me
Music.
started. I could make so many. I'm just going to walk away from that one.
This is intermission.
Let's do the post editing of this.
So in your articles, as I perused them the other night, you have obviously what is that damn one called? The usual suspects. You have the cheat sheet.
Mhm.
Have you, or maybe I missed it, is there a troubleshooting? If you get this, the image of the wobbly lines, hey, check your lens.
There
If
are.
you're getting this,
Mhm.
or is it just scattered throughout?
Well, it's kind of scattered. Like an article that would be similar to what you were mentioning is the one on having a loose optic, mimicking mechanical backlash or scanning offset issues. The chiller diagnostics is pretty comprehensive. It's got just about everything you need all in one article and links to others, so it's a lot more comprehensive than the individual articles. Um, Sometimes we don't want to put too much together like that. In the chiller's case, that was necessary because there's so many diagnostics for it and it lays them out. But on a lot of the others, just the single articles seem to be a better way to handle it so we can focus in on specifics, as
Okay.
far as that
I
goes. Yeah.
just wanted to
But
ask.
it's scattered and obscure, and sometimes you have to search a couple of different ways to get what you're after, or we can distill that information and give you links, if you're having trouble finding something. If we do have something on it, we'll know.
Typically, they're
Still,
very pointed replies or answers or diagnosis. Like the wobble is very specific to, either the lens or scanning offsets or belt tension or what's it called?
Not belt
Bearing
tension.
tension?
Not belt
Bearing
tension.
tension?
Not belt
Bearing
tension.
tension?
But that's
so
that's I guess for me, okay, I have this issue, troubleshooting 1, 2, 3. Got it. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. Let me look at
Mhm.
this.
Well, I think I can expand on that. Our whole article knowledge base is set up to be a go at your own pace diagnostic. So every one of those articles in there technically is kind of how you describe it. And that's what makes it so successful is all we have to do is send a link. That's how we're so fast. And then they work
Oh,
through
I
the
like
data and then reply back. So technically they're all that way, but there's a lot of rabbit holes and there's a lot of obscurity in there. So, it's hard to catalog and categorize that information, especially with the systems that we're using. They throttle it a little bit for good reason because they can get out of whack easy. But
I bring it up. A, it's a topic of discussion. B, I understand how humans think. So I know why y'all do it. I understand completely with no issues whatsoever. But, somebody else hopefully will watch this and understand why y'all do it instead of
sure.
griping that they can't find something.
Hey, Google, post all the YouTube videos. I have to set a
so
reminder.
I like the idea to where you almost have a guide that helps you break it down. Because like when you see the wobbles, you don't know why it's lens or belt or bearings or whatnot. But if you saw a picture that pointed you to those three things, that would be a little more fast. Um, it's definitely better than when somebody posts a picture on Facebook and says, "What do y'all see in this picture?" And it's a big old picture, and you're like, "I don't know. What do you want us to look at? Can you circle the problem? Can you put an arrow on it?" Because
And I
sometimes
used
people
to
post
love
stuff, you're like,
those
And
in
and I,
the highlights magazine. Those were the best.
so
find the fish.
and and I think partly the direction that we're going anyway is, and it may allude to what we're talking about here, is I would like to see an article that was titled output anomalies, or however you want to say it, where my engraving doesn't come out looking like it should, and have, like he said, pictures and, oh, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, and then lead you to the documentation. So I think that would streamline it a lot instead of trying to put it in a search box. You know what I mean? So that's something that we
Yeah.
could do too. And we have stuff like that for mechanical stuff. Like if the y-axis doesn't move, there's an article for that. If the x-axis doesn't move, there's an article for that. But a lot of the anomalies that happen with output and things like that, there's information in there. But like you say, you got to know where to go look to find it, or know what it could be a reasonable cause to even be able to find the information. So maybe we can expand on that and have some examples. This is what it looks like. Here's how you fix it. That kind of thing as we move forward.
Whatever makes y'all happy and whatever helps y'all.
Well, I mean, the end days to make where somebody can pull up a document or search for the thing and get their answer. Again, like I was saying, like to your point, you kind of have to know what answer you're looking for on some of that when you're typing it in. You got to be able to formulate the question, but if you don't even know how to formulate the question based off of what you're looking at, squiggly line, I don't think if you put in squiggly line, nothing's going to show up. But if we had a troubleshooting guide, boom. Okay, I got down to a picture that looks like what I'm seeing. What are the 3 articles I need to read? And there they are.
Well,
So
that's
that's
what
not,
her and I were talking today. It's like, yeah, I can sit and make a video on beam alignment all day long. I'm not screwing up my alignment to teach somebody else how to fix theirs. My
I
alignment
haven't
is
either.
now we've got to go set up air and set up whenever it's delivered to somebody about 10 minutes down the road. So I'll go do it pretty much. I'll leave off all the names, but I'll do it on her bosses. It's the same steps and the same concept. And because they're never right, but, we'll walk her through, okay, it's here. Here's how it all goes together. And this is how you test it before you start going, oh God, what do I do? But she
Yeah.
was over the other day. So we got to walk her and her employees through a bunch of things.
Some of the differences from the brand that they're used to, like we were, to the Thunders.
Yeah.
Because that's good to know in advance.
Absolutely. So, Chris, can we talk about the Lightburn device profiles
yeah,
that we're
yeah.
planning on?
Yep. So, in order to make things a little bit more simpler for the users, we are going to start generating complete Lightburn device profiles that you import. They're going to be on the USB stick. It's going to basically do your gold card scanning offsets. It'll set up whether you want Ethernet or USB with the stock, IP address. It'll put the start delay. It'll turn off Z-axis moves. It'll pre-populate the little section where you upload things for your time estimate kind of stuff. And also putting your machine dimensions, basically skipping all those steps of setup where you mess up either units or you forget a step. It'll disable the start button. So all that stuff in the device profile, we're going to have trying to generate that. And so it's going to have a unique file for every machine stuck on the USB stick that comes in the little Ziploc baggie with your gold card. And it makes that whole process, 30 seconds. You click on the Lightburn, you say import my device, and bam, you're done. Unless you want to go Ethernet, then you got to make that match your home network and whatnot. But yeah, and then you've got that file saved, and it'll have everything you need.
Yeah, you can always go back to it also if you lose something.
Yeah.
So it can't get any easier than that. The only thing that ever make it easier is if the machine jumps out of the box and puts itself together for us.
Yeah, a pre-configured laptop, something like that. I know places have offered those before. Here's a laptop with Lightburn installed and configured to your machine with
that's
network
the only
addresses.
thing that y'all could do additional is throw the computer in with it, and the couple of little goblins to put it all together for them. I mean,
Some Oompa Loompas.
yeah, it's just wow.
It's called white glove service.
Yeah.
Setup is all included.
That's another option.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes into account upping your prices and everything else, because now you've got to have truck drivers and delivery people that know something other than just let me move something.
And then from a customer responsibility, you've got to be ready for when they show up, your space and everything.
Exactly.
I got to
go to
tell you
upgrade
though,
this sucker.
I like people setting up their own machines and learning the machines as they go along, because then they know the machine. If everything is handed to everybody, anytime there's a problem, then it's the Titanic is sinking, and nothing will ever be done. So I really like, even though it's more painful at the beginning, but our whole premise with the remote support thing still astonishes me, because we usually end up turning just about everybody into a laser mechanic at some point or another, which off the cuff sounds unheard of, but
yeah, and I think a lot of people that have other equipment are always hesitant to work on it. Like I've got other stuff, some things I don't like to touch, and then the laser and the 3D printers, you're all up in them, but they've probably had either Glowforge or a high dollar printer that they don't want to mess with because the intricacy of it. But these lasers are really built to be worked on by common tools, common stuff.
Yeah, and
Like,
we're not a Glowforge. Glowforge
yeah,
users are scared to crap of looking at that thing, and everything's accessible on ours. And we have documentation to run everybody through whatever has to be done, which is nice.
Say everything has plenty of room when you're trying to get those DSP connectors out of that corner. That's a little tight. The rest of it's okay.
No,
or
Brian, you don't
the
want to know. I sent CeeLo and Chris a picture yesterday. You don't want to know what tight is until you see me squeeze him between a laser and a wall
I'm
because
sure I
of the
could
damn.
Photoshop that a little bit. I can make it look even better.
Oh yeah, we had a out of nowhere the fan on
The door.
the right side door started hitting the metal wire cover just out of nowhere.
Mhm. We've
So
got
I had
some of those on the shelf. I've probably sent 4 of those out over the past year out
and
of
Just took
however
the
many
metal part
placements.
off and
the fan's stable. It's not like it broke loose. There you go.
yeah.
It's a tight situation.
A little bit.
You breathe? Did you breathe in for a second there? Hold your
Yeah,
breath.
kinda. Yeah.
Hey, but at least we figured it out quick.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was funny.
It was sudden. It's not like it slowly started and I was in the middle of cutting 1-inch thick cherry and I'm like, is that the heat sensor alarm? Like that doesn't sound as bad as people talk about it, but there's nothing hot in the machine.
now
That
that
was
I
heat
don't.
sensor actually will stop your machine if it
yeah.
does go off.
Unless
Right.
you have your
Those
door sensors bypassed, and it won't.
Yeah, it's
Well,
part of that circuit.
that's nice to know.
Don't bypass your doors.
Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Another
All
fun one's
right.
the Y motor, and even the X motor's a fun one to change out.
Now, the thing that I hate, and I have to do this all the time, is cleaning the back grate on my 63. You have to crawl under the bed all the way through the back of your machine to get to that stupid thing.
Why don't you get like one of those little Swiffer wand things and just Swiffer it?
They don't work. They don't work very well
Right.
because we do so much cutting of wood. All that pitch is just stuck on there.
Yeah.
It's
What about like
sticky.
a grill brush or something? There's got to
Yeah.
be some sort of extender, like a.
I just send the kids in there with a little rag and some isopropyl alcohol, and they wipe it down. It works.
Did they change it? Because I can get to mine from the top, like lower the Z
So
table all the way down.
keep in mind, mine is an old machine. Mine's 6 years old now. So mine's like on the older Ruida controller, no heat alarm sensor, none of that kind of stuff.
Does it have dual air? No, it doesn't.
Does it what?
It doesn't have the dual air either, does it?
Nope.
That was
I still have the
that.
upgrade kit sitting in a bag. One of these days, I got the kit and I opened it up and looked at everything. I'm like, yep, that's a project for later.
Yeah. Well, I've sold 3 of those, and 2 of them have come back without even being opened. So
I will
can't-
do mine at some point. I just
I
don't
can't
know
get
when.
rid of them. I'll put it to you this way: there is limited documentation, and nothing's labeled, in the bag.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to do it.
I wouldn't even want to do it with the pre-made harnesses.
No, you're gonna love it.
There's no pre-made harnesses in that kit.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't
No.
even want to do it if the harnesses were pre-made.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Chris, I'm digging the digital air pressure.
Nice.
Now, let me ask you something. Can't you implement that on that other kit you have, where it's monitoring the output pressure, Chris, and just have it
talking
trigger
about
the same way instead of
where
putting
it
it on
shuts
the
down?
regulator? Yeah,
The only thing I don't like about that is
the
on your
pressures
low
are so
wear because
low.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you might be running near zero.
Gotcha.
Even
Yeah, that
even
makes
the one on
sense.
the tank, I set to 20 psi, And if it drops, in my tank, and I set my regulator to 30, so it takes it to drop below 20 for a little bit before it actually will trigger, and then it will
Gotcha.
have to climb past. It's got that hysteresis in there, so that I know that it shut down, and oops, or well, I forgot to turn on the compressor. That's really what started all this. It had enough air in there when I pressed the green button. It was like, okay, air's running, and then it
Yeah.
started cutting, and things went to crap. But yeah, I just like that it's on the regulator so
You're,
that I know.
I didn't think about that part. That does make better sense if you want to have it cut the actual job, and then stop you. So yeah, I might have to do that on mine, but I don't run mine enough to burn them up, I don't think. Well, I got my Google, so all I got to do is tell Google to turn my stuff on, and it pops the air compressor and all that stuff.
That's
Yeah, but
what
see,
I
you
do.
still
I
gotta.
have Spy set to remind me early in the day to make sure everything's turned on, and then in the afternoon I have her set to remind me to turn everything off.
The Ninja
What,
left.
what are you turning off?
My machine, like everything, the external compressor, the
Yeah,
machine and the chiller, they're all
Why
on
the
15
why
amp
the air compressor?
smart plugs because it's external. All I have to do is say, "Hey Google, power up Nova," and it turns on the Nova 35 and the air compressor and the chiller. And then if I want to run Odin, I can say power up Odin, and it'll power up the air compressor and Odin only, since I don't need a chiller.
Don't get
So
any damn.
what do you have to say, and can you say it louder?
yeah.
I have it unplugged right now. Dude, I recorded myself during a training session saying that, turning on the machine, and I was watching the video a couple months later, and my machine kicked on. I was like, "What in the world?" Because it picked
That's
that up.
awesome.
And I thought those 15 amp smart plugs that I bought for $6 a piece on the internet would have burned up by now. I even bought extras, and even the one for the chiller looks great. So it's handling it. I
Gotta
don't
figure out
know
if
how.
20.
Awkward.
Silence.
By the way, anyone who's not using templates needs to start.
Are you getting jiggy with it?
Unless you don't make them
Always.
right.
Oh, hey Jim, you showed up.
They work as long as you make your templates the right size.
Oh, shut up.
Wow.
He was on the phone with me yesterday, and this little notch right here, I got it a little bit too small, so none of my stuff fit in there, so I had to recut the template.
I bet you never heard the end of that one either.
No, I didn't. I all the way home and everything.
And still.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
still.
then he gets it from me. Dog, really? What is it? I only got sawdust in a couple spots of the shop, but the dog has to find the spot that has the tiniest amount of sawdust laying in it. And then I want to be in so much trouble because I really can't even see it. But she is getting groomed this weekend, and Lori just got through brushing her and getting all the knots and all the crap out of her. And now she's covered in wood shavings.
Just
At
get
least
out
she
the
didn't
vacuum cleaner, the air compressor.
Yeah.
She used to like it. She don't care too much for it. She used to really play with the air compressor. She don't play with it as much as she used to. She's getting older.
You're one to talk, Jim.
Hey, hush. At least there's one person in here older than me, right, Danny?
And as evidenced, he can take a licking and keep on ticking too.
Yeah, really. Humpty Dumpty did fall off a wall, and he's be able to put him back together again. Except he got rolled over a few times. Danny, you're muted. Oh, Danny, I got something on TV actually you would like to be watching. I got KOH on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, KOH has been running live for 3 days now. They just got through running the UTVs.
Right, which would be so cool.
this morning. It's
I was
insane.
thinking
They
about
wasn't
it.
expecting first play or the first
I
person
was
to be
sitting over
through
here and it just like
until 1.
slowly started soaking all
They
up.
actually
so
made
like,
it through
this
the
is all
course
just
by
like wasabi
11.
soup.
Wow.
He was hauling Bud. It was a Can-Am, pretty much stock.
Needless to say, mine was sold. So,
And you weren't even doing. The thing is, you wasn't even doing what these guys were doing. These guys are crazy.
I know I was just turning around. Can you imagine if I had his speed?
Yeah, and these guys are doing 70 miles an hour through rock.
And a while ago, y'all were talking about being in tight spaces, and Travis talking about climbing underneath his machine. That ain't going to happen.
I haven't given my machine a deep clean since I had it. So I'm going to have to crawl in there at some point. It hadn't gotten that dirty. It's a shame.
I wouldn't have thought they'd have been that dusty.
So we had the fan issue on the door yesterday, and while we were in there, we grabbed the air and blew all that out. It was pretty nasty. Those little fans were. So make that part of your maintenance, is also cleaning those fans on the doors.
If you're going to use compressed air, also be careful and don't hit it hard with a full blast and overspin that thing. I've messed up a few smaller, more delicate fans by hitting them with too much air. So
That's why
be
you take
careful
a
of that.
pencil and shove in there in the blades when you blow them out.
Oh, well, that's a great
Pencil
idea.
or
Why didn't you tell me that?
We're still under
pencil or
warranty.
file or something. I just shove in there to lock the blade in. That way I can pretty much hammer it.
Yeah. Well, like Lois said, they're under warranty. So, I mean, get the hose out if you want and just wash them out.
Yeah, just wash them out.
Yeah, nice pressure washer, you know.
It made a really cool sound when it was spinning really fast.
Yeah.
Your tube box
So,
too. Every now and then open that up and inspect your tube because we see
And
some dusty, dirty tubes.
If you ever have my security cameras, I got one coolant fan that always ends up sticking on it inevitably for some stupid reason. It makes all kinds of weird noise. Well, I tried to get them to warranty it, and they fought me with it numerous times. Kept saying, "Well, that's normal," and I'm like, "It's not normal." So one day I got aggravated with it, and I put the actual air chuck right up against the damn thing. And I'm like, "Well, if you're gonna burn up, you're gonna burn up." Since I done that, I had that sucker singing so stinking loud. It hasn't made a noise since then.
you worked it out. You
Yes, that
performed an
thing was
exorcism.
whatever was happening when I'm like, I'm either going to burn it up and I'm just going to modify it to stick another one in there, or it's going to fix it. And it actually, for how long as it's fixed it. But yeah, they make some pretty sounds.
I've pulled those things apart and buffed the shaft, like on copiers, the case fans, to get them going because you can't just go get one off Amazon for a Kyocera copier. You got to buy a $80 fan. But they got an air bearing in them, but you can buff those shafts out and put them back in, and they usually do pretty good after that. That's what you did. You buffed it the easy way.
Polished it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many RPMs it was going, but she was singing because it's only like a 1-inch fan.
Yeah. Yeah. I use silicone fuser oil for that and to polish glass on the copier so the paper wouldn't stick. You put it on a doorknob, you'll never open that door again. Never. If you've never played with fuser oil, you should get some on eBay if you like messing with stuff. It's
Put
slick.
it on your floor.
Get a helmet while you're buying it. Then it's kind of expensive. You probably wouldn't want to pour it on the floor.
The best thing to do is if you want to burglar proof your house, to leave that door unlocked in your house and just no one ever uses it, and just put a whole smear of that on the floor right there as soon as they come in.
You've been watching Macaulay Culkin movies, haven't you?
My luck, I'd be the dumbass to go, I'm just going to take a shortcut through the house, and I'd be the one to break my back.
Right.
He's been watching MacGruber.
So, well, if anybody has anything, like I said, that's the purpose. So feel free and chime in. If not, we can figure out another topic. We did good. The first half hour is pretty solid.
Damn,
Not
and
too many
I
awkward
can only
silence.
do it so much, man. I can only do but so
Right.
much.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Hey, Brian,
Anybody?
Hey,
I wanted to ask a couple questions. So
all
I've been
right.
getting grilled for people asking me to laser onto metal. So I'm contemplating maybe early next year getting a fiber laser.
Mhm.
So one of the things I've been going round and round with is trying to understand and learn. Obviously, I want to stay with the Thunder family because I love the amount I've gotten since I bought my laser, both pre and I saw that the Aurora 8 has two options. Well, two main options and two sub options. So you could go pro or not, and then you could go 20 or 50. Correct me if I'm wrong. The key difference is the pro runs a level 3 version of the driver card, which is not currently compatible with Lightburn, correct?
That is
And
one of the main
EasyCAD
differences.
3.
Yes.
Yep.
and the size of the surface area is larger with the pro, correct?
Well,
Uh,
the
that's
initial lens is a 150 working area,
yeah.
and you got a Galvo head that'll do 8,000
Yeah, the
speed
hit it's
versus
got a Field Tech head on it, so it's way faster than that. Which again, speed. We can have discussions about that. Faster ain't always better, but yeah, but that's the main difference. And for a while I thought Lightburn was on it hot and heavy, trying to do that, but it's not super high on the priority list making EasyCAD 3 compatibility. So you may be waiting a while for that,
now
according to what I've seen.
EasyCAD 3 is not terrible. This is not as good as Lightburn,
Yeah,
but it's
EasyCAD
also
2
got
was
some features.
terrible.
Yeah, it's got
The big
features that Lightburn doesn't have.
You mean Easy Crash 2?
Yeah,
the hard part for me is I'm 100%. So and I'm not interested in getting a PC.
Okay.
Cat 3 for me is out.
Okay. Understood.
So Brian,
I'm with you.
have they decided to switch over to JPTs yet?
We've
We do
used
on the MOPA.
JPTs on the MOPA.
Oh, you are running JPTs?
Hmm.
Oh, but
On the
it's a
MOPA.
full MOPA though, isn't it?
Right.
M7, I think.
So you're not running the JPTs on the EasyCAD 2 board?
No.
Mm.
Well,
Rakus.
unless you get yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
like a Ford versus Chevy thing.
Yeah, it's not
Well,
Reiki isn't a bad tube. It's just not quite as adjustable as the
yeah,
other.
yeah. Rakus is still a really solid tube. Just with a lot of the stuff that we do, like this couldn't have been done on. God, I hate this camera. This couldn't have been done on a Rakus, just because of the frequency I had to run at. Because you can kind of see there, that's silver versus a bronzy
Mhm.
color, and you just can't hit that bronzy color on a Rakus.
Yeah, if you're wanting to get all those different hues and anneal stainless and get the different colors and all that, then MOPA is definitely the way to go. Which in that case you'll get a JPT. On the other stuff, or just basic, like if you're just engraving firearms and stipling and stuff like that, I would opt for a non-pro 50 watt if that were me. If that's what I was going to do with it.
Well, I think the Rakus sources can't, like, if you're doing firearms and stuff, don't they cut heavier than a JPT because they're more tuned into the frequency that they do have?
Being a narrower bandwidth usually has its advantages in some cases like that, but I don't know. I haven't been in front of a MOPA to even play with one, so all of my information is historical.
You don't have one in your shop yet?
No, I don't have any room for any more machines.
I found another use for the exhaust fan on the laser.
Paint booth?
Brian,
No,
if you
just
need
now.
for you, I can. I'd be
Huh?
happy.
He said I can't.
Yeah, just went home with IPA.
My dog's at it again. It's like last week. The after meeting, I almost got ran out of the shop like 3 times. We went to
Oh, is
our
that why you
dog
got the
being
fan on?
Yeah, she's laying right in front of the laser, and she's laying here, and I'm like, what the hell is that smell? I'm like, oh, dog, not again. And I just turned the fan on the laser, just that's what I was reaching over for. And I was
You
able to suck
you
that
got you a
stench out of here.
$12,000 fart fan over there.
We had to go to an all natural diet with her, so she's eating like raw meats and stuff now, and her back end gaseous issues are wow.
Hey, Jim, it smells like a gut shot deer.
No God.
What elk?
Oh,
No, I was gonna say
say
that was an elk.
Gut shot elk.
That was funny. Oh.
Travis, what material was that on for the JPT?
That is on a powder coated steel tag.
And you're changing the color of the powder coat, or are you going down to the steel?
No, I'm going down to the steel and then annealing it that bronzy color. So let me see if I can get my other camera working here for a sec. It's when it wants to work, it's a better quality. Kind of. Come on, camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this one here is just down to the bare metal, and then this one is one more pass annealing it. And it looks a lot better in person. This camera's just, I don't know. I've been having
He was
problems
able
with this camera.
He was able to actually get 3 different hues. One's
Yeah.
silver, one's like beige, and the other one's like a bronze color.
Yep.
Hey, we did set a new record last week for the after show.
On time?
Yes, we did.
Yes, 10:30.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
It ran long.
Damn.
And actually, it actually would have made a good primary show. There was actually a lot of good information in it.
Yeah,
You would think that you would have said everything bad you possibly could about me in that amount of time. How would you
Actually, I
have
don't
to
think
go
you
over
came
that
up at all.
far?
There was a lot of info last week.
Oh, well, that's even worse. No, I'm just kidding. So, what do you want to talk about?
I'm looking at
we
whether or
need
not you can run EasyCAD on a Mac or not. There's talks
we
of
need
it.
to be able to modify our lasers to be able to shoot down balloons.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said
4-inch
talk about
lens?
something.
Yeah, and as far as EasyCAD on Mac, the only way that I know to do it is through Boot Camp.
Yeah, I'm
For
reading through. There's some
2 or
stuff on
3?
easycad.org.
Yeah, but they're running Windows inside, I'm guessing. That's the way I used to run it.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
and
want
the
to
big
change
problem with
the
EasyCAD is you don't want the EasyCAD version that comes from EasyCAD. You want the community version that has a lot of the memory leaks and stuff fixed in it.
Well, it would be EasyCAD 3 as well, which is a little bit better than 2.
Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about 3.
Otherwise you're going to be running Lightburn, right? I mean, I think everybody's going to spend the whatever $90, $120 it is from Lightburn to get that Galbo license.
Yeah, there's still some features that are missing in Lightburn that
Yep.
hopefully they'll figure out that you can do in EasyCAD, because I still do have to run EasyCAD every now and again.
Joe's here.
Yeah.
So, who's coming to Vegas? Anybody?
For which
Vegas.
show is this one?
What's
ISA.
that, George?
ISA. Tiffany and I should be down there.
Really? That'll be cool.
Yep, we're going
gonna
down
have a
there
meetup.
to look at new CNCs and new printers.
Yeah. It's
What
what, the 12th to the 14th of April, I think.
Yep.
Mandalay Bay. I was trying to look it up. They changed the name from
Used to
it
be
was
ISS, wasn't it?
well, no, I mean Thunder Laser, because China
Oh.
booked it with ISA, and it said Dongguan Thunder China Laser Company something, and we got him to change it to Thunder Laser USA, so it shows up a little easier on the map. So,
You didn't like the Dongguang whatever?
oh, I do, but I think it just flows better having just the Thunder Laser. I think it's more recognizable. People might quit reading after the first couple words, or it may be off the page if it's on a mobile device or something.
Yep. So on the
You could just put
USA
it on. You
side,
could just
are you guys going to be launching either a CO2 Galvo or a 4x8 bed? So I know
Well,
China's got the 4x8.
they've
The
had
Titan.
that Titan 250, but they don't ever want to make one. They're
But you guys could
I
just
don't.
the Dongwon China name. You guys could just put that on a big balloon and put it over top there. Everybody would know what it meant.
We could.
Yeah.
So wasn't there a Titan down in Florida that sold like a year ago?
It was Alabama. It was
Alabama?
Fred Britt in
Yeah.
Alabama. He had one that he'd had forever. He had a 63, I think, also, or a couple of them. And he was retiring, and he sold that Titan to somebody. I've never seen a ticket come in on it. I don't know that much about him, but it was what was it, a 5x10 or something like that?
Nice.
It was bigger than 4x8. I think it was 5x10. Maybe it was.
So how come they don't want to build one again?
I think just because that's getting more toward. I don't
Too
know. I think they
industrial?
just want to. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'd like to see it. I mean, some of that stuff Marco makes, I like to mess with some of that if they'd ever do it. Some 3,000 watt flatbed fiber cutters, and stuff like that would be neat. But
Well, that's one of the things we're going down to look at is a quad tube 5x10.
yeah. Oh, is that one? That's that selectable wattage tube that you were showing me that time, wasn't it?
Yep.
Have you still got a data sheet or a link on that? I was looking that up not the other day, a couple months ago, and I forgot. I never did get a good search on it. I'd like to review that if you happen to have it. Not right. You don't have to do it right now.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything else really, so.
Don't say
Hey,
that
Brian.
too loud. You get in trouble.
Yeah.
What is this over your shoulder right here? That little,
Where?
just over your right shoulder.
That white
Girepi?
ball.
Next,
Right
yeah.
there? That's that
yeah, what is that?
damn bag of mirrors. You know exactly what that is. I kind of wish I'd have found a better picture of a leg sliced open. I think I probably could have got you on that if I'd have picked my picture a little more carefully. But I
So
still
Jim, why don't
swear
you
there was
tell
something
everyone what's
gooey in
over
there,
your
man.
left shoulder?
What's over Jim's left shoulder?
No one's even paid attention or noticed it. That's why I just letting it go.
I've been trying not to look at it the whole time. So
Are you talking about those colored things?
yeah, the little
They look
green
like
and brown
tips.
thing. Huh?
They look like tips.
Yeah, they kind
Is
of
it
are.
Is it something you sit on?
I
that
believe we're
is it
talking
for,
about the same
water
thing,
jet?
CeeLo.
Oh,
This
God.
is good. No.
Get a
Yeah,
water
we'll
jet or
just,
something?
we'll just close this after the next
Y'all
8
got
minutes.
8 more minutes, and then you can talk about it.
Yep.
Looks like
In the
Lois knows
meantime, this
exactly
is
what's
too
going on.
hilarious.
Oh God,
HR.
there is a whole story behind all this, and it gets worse.
Yes, it does.
It's been a laughing joke for what 4 or 5 days now.
At least. All I can say is when you're tuning a 3D printer, choose your prints carefully.
I know what those are. I
Are
think
you
they
sure?
are tips. I really think they are.
I make his bigger.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. How to just look at one picture, one preview.
You
and make it
can't. I
bigger.
can't zoom in.
We'll have to wait another couple of minutes, and then he'll blow
7
it up.
minutes. Have you tested them?
Oh,
No.
Well, actually, one of them kind of did get tested.
On accident?
Was an accident.
oh yeah, I see it now.
Oh,
If you change it to who's talking,
exactly.
it
That's what I was
went
trying to get to.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Say something, Jim.
Oh God.
Those
I was
are
put up to
tips.
this. Yeah, they're tips.
I have a video you should see.
Oh gosh.
Wait, is this going back to the whole video that you and Grant made down in Texas?
Oh no.
I was thinking the same thing. I was on the same thing. I was leaving it alone. Oh, from the sunburned knees.
Sunburn.
That was
Oh, there was a whole thing behind that
Ooh.
one there that was going on. And then they was going, how did you know about all this? And I'm like, it's the insider information.
Hey, Brian, I just threw a link. That's their dual one. I can't find their quad one right now, but they've got I think it's the same
That'll get me in the-
manufacturer makes the quad one.
Gotcha. That'll get me in the right direction. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to look at that. Thank
Oh
you.
my
Yeah,
word.
Yeah, because they only show a picture of their dual, which is the 300 water, but the quad goes, it's either 600 watts is what the quad will do.
It's kind of like those engines where they only run on as many cylinders as you need.
Oh, those Chevy chunks of garbage.
And Danny, to answer your question, the CNC that I really want to get, unfortunately, the shipping is too cost prohibitive to get it up here because it's built on the East Coast. But it's a Phantom, and they're U.S. made, amazing machines. You can get into them for under 20,000 for a 5x10 vacuum bed system, and they're just phenomenal machines. They run butter smooth. But yeah, just to ship it because they're made over in North Carolina, and to ship it just from North Carolina to Seattle is $13,000, and then I've got to still get it from Seattle up to Alaska.
Yeah, he was mad at
What
me
do
the
you-
other day.
I think
It's
they're made like Mooresville, North Carolina.
What was that?
They're made about 35 miles from it.
That's the way to go
Hey.
then. 'Cause you can get into them super cheap, and they're great machines.
Travis, just have Danny send you the pieces one at a time.
Oh, one at a time, like Johnny
Well, my
Cash.
thoughts were, it's too bad it's not good
So-
enough for carry-on, so that when I go up there, I just load it up when I went up there. But it was that would, I think it gives
No,
me almost
actually,
good
what-
carry-ons.
What's funny about that is there's a trailer manufacturer not far away from Phantom, and one of my buddies told me that he was looking at getting a trailer made over there. I'm like, well, how are you going to get it up here? He's like, I don't know if I'm going to ship it or if I'm going to drive it. So we're working out a deal with him now. He's going to buy the trailer down there, buy a truck down there, load up my Phantom, drive it all the way up here. I'll cover his gas. He'll turn around and sell the truck and have a trailer free and clear when it's all said and done.
Is he looking at a Kaufman or a Hudson trailers?
I don't remember. It's some like 30 some odd foot enclosed trailer. It's some big beast triple axle trailer he's looking at. Yeah,